In this session, we'll walk through the complete Power BI workflow, from connecting to your data all the way to building interactive, secure, and insightful reports. Let's start by connecting Power BI to an Excel data source. From the Home ribbon, I'll select Get Data and then choose Excel. Next, I'll browse to the location of my Excel file and click Open. Power BI now shows the Navigator window, where I can see all the sheets and tables available in this file. I'll select the table I want to use and preview the data to make sure it looks correct. At this point, I have two options: Load, which brings the data directly into Power BI, or Transform Data, which opens Power Query so I can clean and shape the data first. In most real-world scenarios, the data isn't perfect, so I'll choose Transform Data to prepare it properly before loading. Before loading your data into Power BI, it's important to validate the data in Power Query, because this is where data quality issues are easiest to fix. Make sure that each column has the correct data type. Date should be set as date, numeric fields as whole number or decimal number, and text fields as text. Correct data types are critical for accurate calculations, proper sorting, and reliable DAX measures. Next, carefully check for errors and invalid values in the data. Power Query clearly highlights errors, and these should be resolved before loading the data. Errors left in the model can break visuals, cause incorrect results, and impact performance. By confirming correct data types and removing errors in Power Query before loading, you ensure a clean, reliable dataset that performs well and supports accurate analysis throughout your Power BI report. Now that our data is loaded and cleaned, the next step is data modeling, which is one of the most important parts of working in Power BI. I'll switch to the model view, where we define how our tables relate to each other. A good data model helps Power BI perform better and ensures our calculations are accurate. In Power BI, we typically organize data using a star schema. That means we have one central fact table, such as sales, and several dimension tables like product or customer. Here, I'll create relationships between the tables by matching key fields. As I create relationships, I'll check a few important settings. Relationships should flow from dimension to fact, typically with one-to-many cardinality. Single direction filtering, which is typically single for better performance. Now that our data model is in place, we can start turning data into insights by building visuals. I'll switch to the report view, which is where most users spend their time. Before we add any visuals, the first thing I like to do is give the report a clear title section. I'll start by going to the Insert ribbon and selecting Text Box. I'll place it at the top of the canvas and use it for the main report title. For the title, I'll use a clear, business-friendly name, something that explains the purpose of the report at a glance, such as Sales Performance Dashboard. Now that the report header is ready, the first visual we'll add is a card visual. Starting with a card helps immediately communicate the most important number in the report. I'll select the card visual from the Visualizations pane and place it at the top of the canvas. For this card, I'll add our primary KPI, for example, total sales, by dragging the measure into the card. Next, I'll format the card so it's easy to read and visually prominent. I'll position this card at the top of the page, making it the first thing users see when they open the report. This sets the context for all the visuals that follow. Using a card as the first visual creates a clear focal point and helps anchor the story of the report before we move into more detailed charts and analysis. After our KPI card, the next step is to add a chart visual to show trends or comparisons in the data. I'll select a clustered column chart from the Visualizations pane. This type of chart is great for comparing categories over a measure, like sales by product category. Next, I'll drag the category field, for example, product category, to the axis and the sales measure to values. Instantly, Power BI generates a clear column chart showing how each category contributes to total sales. Now that we have a card visual and a chart, the next step is to make the report interactive using slicers and controls. Slicers let users filter the data dynamically and focus on the insights they care about. I'll start by selecting the slicer visual from the Visualizations pane. For this report, let's add a slicer for date. I'll drag the ship date key field into the slicer and it automatically creates a filter panel. I'll format the slicer to make it clear and easy to use. Use a drop-down layout if there are many regions. Use a list layout for a small number of options. Now that we have a slicer, a card, and a column chart, let's maximize the visual features available in Power BI to improve our storytelling. Right now, our column chart shows sales by category. That's useful, but it only tells part of the story. Let's enhance it by adding quantity details so users understand not just revenue performance, but volume performance as well. Now that we have our category column chart, let's enhance it by adding subcategory details, but without overcrowding the report. Instead of adding another visual to the page, we'll use a tooltip. First, create a new page and rename it Subcategory Tooltip. Go to the Format pane, turn Tooltip on, and set the page size to Tooltip. Next, add a bar chart showing Subcategory on the y-axis and Sales on the x-axis. Keep the layout clean and sorted by highest sales. Now go back to the main report page. Select the category column chart, open the Format pane, go to Tooltip, change the type to Report Page, and select our Subcategory Tooltip page. Now when we hover over a category, we see a breakdown of its subcategories. This keeps our main chart simple while allowing users to explore deeper insights on demand, a key principle in effective data storytelling. Now that we're able to use a slicer, a card, and a chart, we can start thinking bigger about our canvas. Instead of stopping at one of each visual, we can populate the entire report page with the same types of visuals, but each one showing a different aspect of the data. For example, we can use multiple cards to highlight different KPIs, such as total sales, total quantity, and profit. We can use multiple charts to show performance by category, by subcategory, and by region. And we can use slicers to allow users to control all of them at once. The key here is consistency. When we repeat the same visual types, users don't have to relearn the layout. They already understand how to read a card, how to interpret a column chart, and how to use a slicer. What changes is the perspective of the data. This approach allows us to tell a more complete story, not by adding complexity, but by organizing insights clearly across the canvas. Now that our report is interactive, the next step is to secure the data using row-level security, or RLS. RLS allows us to control what data each user can see based on their role. I'll switch to the model view and go to the Manage Roles option under the Modeling tab. Here's how we set it up. Create a new role. I'll name this role something meaningful, like Country Manager, Germany. Define a rule for this role. This ensures anyone assigned to this role will only see data for the Germany. Once the roles are created, I'll test them by clicking View as Roles. I can select a role to see exactly what that user would see in the report. Notice how the KPI card, chart, and slicers now only show the filtered data. When the report is published to the Power BI service, we assign users to these roles. Only the data defined by the DAX filters will be visible to them, keeping sensitive data secure. Now that we've built our visuals, enhanced our storytelling, and configured row-level security, our report is ready for the next step, publishing to the Power BI service for collaboration. Power BI Desktop is where we build. Power BI Service is where we share, collaborate, and manage access. To publish, we simply go to the Home tab and click Publish. We select the appropriate workspace, usually a team or department workspace, and confirm. Once published, the report and its dataset are available in the Power BI service.